following is a presentation of the Reviewing Network Sports.
Hello everybody and welcome to another exciting episode of hold on, stop the music. Oh god, I think I sprained my ankle. Oh man, that sucks. I can't really continue to play the game and play or if I would play whatsoever, but yeah, cheap joke there because there was a lot of injuries in week number 2. That was the whole purpose of the joke, you know. As McBain said back in the day, that's the joke. And then someone goes, "You suck, McBain," and then I take out my shotgun and shoot the entire audience. But anyway, welcome to another episode of the NFL Network. After another interesting, exciting, some people would say BS week 2, and as I said before, a lot of injuries this past week. Many quarterbacks are injured. Many quarterbacks will not be playing this week, and some won't be playing for the entire season. One in particular in the AFC North, which we'll get to as time goes on here. But before we get to anything else on this particular show, let's go ahead and get to what we usually start off with here, and that is, of course, the Week 3 Power Rankings. And as you can see, it has definitely changed in the last weeks. Teams that I had up very high up have gone very high down. You see the one who's at the last there, but I will explain that when we get to the Week 3 predictions. But the top 5 overall, you know, most of the teams up there pretty much are the same. We have a new number 1, as you can see. Number 5, I have the Philadelphia Eagles, who really surprised the hell out of me going into Kansas City and beating the Chiefs and proving that the Super Bowl was not just a fluky thing, that this team is very much unstoppable, especially with that tuck rule, which, congratulations, NFL, you had a chance to ban it in March, but you decided not to. And now we're all going to suffer because of it. So take that for what you will. Number 4, I've got the Baltimore Ravens, who, the debacle week 1, that's something that still needs to be talked about, especially if they do it again, which you know they're going to do it. And in fact, this week it literally felt like the Cleveland Browns were going to give them a run for their money in that third quarter, when they were up 20. I think they were up 20-10. I think it was whenever they scored. It's after they scored the touchdown, but Baltimore persevered. Baltimore did win the game, and they did it without Derrick Henry getting a whole lot of yardage. People don't realize this, but Derrick Henry only got 23 yards in that game against the Cleveland Browns on Sunday, and yet the Ravens won that game fairly convincingly, and it was mostly because of Lamar Jackson throwing the rock around, throwing the football, and throwing it into the end zone for the touchdown, proving that, hey, you might be able to stop Derrick Henry, but now you got to figure out a way to stop Lamar Jackson, which is going to be very, very hard to do now. But good luck to anybody trying to stop them both at the same time. But pray for something to happen similar to Buffalo this week. But it's Buffalo next time around. But anyway, number 3 on the list, and welcome back up to the top 5, the Detroit Lions. Last week they went into Green Bay, got pretty humiliated by the Packers overall. That overall not a great performance by them, and they basically mopped the floor with the Chicago Bears and their old offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, which leads to a lot of speculation that maybe Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell are probably not on good speaking terms right now, because there was videos out there where you saw the where everybody comes together at the end, congratulates the other team for winning. Yeah, when Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson got together, it was really quick, and it really felt reminiscent of you remember back in the day when Bill Belichick and Eric Mangini, they used to work with the Patriots together, and then he got a job with the Jets as the head coach, and at the end of the game there was all that arguments about or is there a rift going on between these two? And sure enough, there was, as the Jets would. I think the Jets actually, if I remember correctly, the Jets, I think, swept the Patriots in that 2006 season. I could be wrong on that, but But yeah, this is what it kind of reminds me of that, and it's going to make that other meeting with the Chicago Bears in Chicago very interesting overall. But the Lions, I mean, how can I not put them in the top 5 when you put up 50 points on the Chicago Bears? I mean, Dan Campbell basically just said, yeah, Ben, it's good to see you again, but yeah, I'm going to run up the score with you and prove to everybody that we are not done just yet. And sure enough, that's exactly what they did. Now the question is, can you continue that even after this week, or are you going to pull a Aaron Rodgers like you did with the Jets? But we'll get to that in just a little bit here. But number 2, the Buffalo Bills. For no particular reason. I mean, the Buffalo Bills are still the best football team right now. And, I mean, you put up 30 points over the Jets, which really is not that hard to do. But basically goes to show you that the Jets game last week was kind of a fluke. And I think, kind of like with Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, Justin Fields and the Jets tried to get revenge on his former team. And it just didn't quite work out as well as Aaron Rodgers did. But Buffalo really didn't do anything wrong in particular to be down a little bit here. But I mean, yeah, it was a tough call because honestly, how can I not put the Green Bay Packers at number 1? Because really, that Micah Parsons deal, I mean, Jerry Jones has to be like so angry at the people in Green Bay for basically saying, thank you, Jerry. And by the way, 2 weeks from now, Green Bay at Detroit, and that's going to be must-see TV. But hey, going up against the Washington Commanders, who I have just outside the top 5 at 6, I mean, they looked really good. Green Bay looked really, really damn good and proved that last week was not a fluke. I mean, this team is for real, and this could be the thing that gets them back to the Super Bowl if they can actually get past the NFC Championship game, which has been a problem for them ever since they won that last Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers 15 years ago. But there you go. That's the Power Rankings for this week. That's the top 5. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get to the Week 3 NFL predictions. So in terms of my Week 2 NFL results, I did a little bit better than last week by 1. 9 out of 16, 56%. So, hey, it's a step in the right direction, especially considering last week. But, yeah, this season so far has been very, very unpredictable to figure out here, especially with teams that I thought would be contenders and certainly have not been. But, we're going to look at that right now as we look at the first game of week number 3 of Thursday Night Football, AFC East showdown between the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills at Highmark Stadium. The Bills continue to dominate. I mean, last week they dominated over the Jets 30-10. I mean, when Josh Allen got hit in the nose, and yet still had a pretty good day overall. But it was mostly James Cook doing most of the work and getting the touchdowns, and that contract he signed is really starting to pay dividends for them. Meanwhile, the Miami Dolphins, there was a possibility. They were in the game last week. They scored more than 8 points, which is good for them. I mean, they're stepping in the right direction, and yet they couldn't get past New England. New England kind of mopped the floor with them, especially in that fourth quarter, and Miami just couldn't get back in the game at that point. Yeah, Miami's 0-2, and will probably be 0-3, and then we'll have to start thinking about who's going to be gone pretty soon, because right now they're not saying that they're going to get rid of players. I know that there was Adam Schefter had said that Tyreek Hill, teams have not called about him, which bullshit. I mean, if Tyreek Hill is on an 0-2 Miami Dolphins team, you goddamn right I'm calling up to see if I can get him at some point. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that when the Dolphins lose this game this week, I wouldn't be surprised if we started hearing talking about trade, is people calling up to see what Miami's willing to give up, and probably Mike McDaniel's going to lose his job pretty soon. I mean, the schedule for him, this team has been rough. The one game that I thought he would have easily won against the Colts, and then the Colts just suddenly became this dominant team for some reason, which I'm not buying into that at all. I'll get to that when we get to them in just a little bit here, but their schedule is like this. You've got the Buffalo Bills. The next game they could probably win. It's a Monday Night Football game against the New York Jets, and the New York Jets, probably not a good football team. And then the Carolina, so they could possibly get back to 2-3, maybe. But then you got the Chargers, which Chargers are going to be really, really tough to beat. So yeah, be about 2-4 at that point. Then at Cleveland, they could probably win that one, get to maybe 3-4. And then at Atlanta, maybe 4-4. They could be 4-4 at this point. I mean, it's not completely over for them just yet. But yeah, it's going to be rough because most teams that are 0-3 do not make the playoffs. In fact, I think a majority of them, with one exception, I can't remember what it was. I think I remember one or two teams actually started 0-3 and actually did make the playoffs. I think the Giants did it at one point in one year, and I think the Texans did it one year. Again, don't quote me on that, but I'm just saying. The bottom line here is that I don't think the Buffalo Bills are going to be losing to Miami this weekend. I mean, it would have to take a catastrophic injury to Josh Allen that keeps him out of the game or something like that, because like it's impossible. I feel like the Buffalo Bills are going to be really impossible to beat right now, and especially considering that the Chiefs right now are 0-2. If I'm Buffalo, I'm trying to sweep as many wins as I can before that Kansas City game. So I know there's no way that they're going to try to usurp us like they did last year, because Buffalo won that game at Kansas City, but even then it was not enough for them to get the number one seed. But so yeah, not a surprise on this one. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills to win this one on Thursday. And like I said, it's really not a shocker. Miami just hasn't been that good so far. They've had a tough start to the season, which will surely get better once they get past this one. I think it's going to be much better for them after this. But other than that, though, Miami fans, it's going to get rough. But it's going to get rough before it gets better. So next up, we've got the Sunday matchups. We got a matchup between the Green Bay Packers and the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland, they're Cleveland. I mean, nothing really that different has stood out about them this season. And, as much as the team has looked like they did back in 2023, they're just not eking out the wins as they've been doing. But, they've had two really tough games to start the season off. You had to face a Cincinnati team that was desperate for a Week 1 win so they can prove to everybody that, hey, we're not going to sit there and pretend it's going to be like the other seasons. The Cleveland, and last week, of course, you had to go up against Baltimore in their home, and they did put at least somewhat of an effort in the third quarter before Baltimore pretty much took it over from there. And then, of course, you got the Green Bay Packers, which is this whole thing is very much like the Buffalo-Miami thing. I think Green Bay is going to easily mop the floor with the Cleveland Browns, no question about it. Myles Garrett will probably get a couple of sacks in, but other than that, though, there's no reason to doubt that the Green Bay Packers will win this one. I'm going to pick them to win this one to beat the Cleveland Browns, so that one's not really much of a shocker either. So following that, we have got the Indianapolis Colts going out to Tennessee to take on the Tennessee Titans. And Cam Ward, had a pretty decent day overall. Threw his first touchdown in that game against the Rams. Had a chance to win it too, but the Rams just beat them to the punch at that point by the fourth quarter. And it's really tough to really comment on the Titans as a whole. I don't think they're a bad football team, but they're a team they're growing right now. Cam Ward hasn't been playing badly. He just hasn't been getting all those chances to really shine here in general, and I don't think his head coach is really helping him. I don't think Brian Callahan's that great of a coach for the Titans, but they're showing promise. They are showing a lot of promise, and I think that will carry over throughout the rest of the season overall. And then there's the Indianapolis Colts, the team that I would like to go ahead and consider to be this year's New Orleans Saints. Because remember how everybody thought the New Orleans Saints, myself included, thought they were going to be the dark horse team in the NFC. They started off 2-0. They had like over 60 points in the first two games. And then we realized that, oh, wait, this is a Dennis Allen coach team. But of course they're going to find a way to fuck it up. And sure enough, the Saints were terrible for much of the rest of the season. I don't think it's as bad for the Colts, but I'm not ready to buy into the belief that the Colts are really as good as they make it out to be. I'll give them credit. They put up a good game against the Denver Broncos. That's a game they should have won. And then just the way it ended and the fact that they almost had the game won had it not been for that penalty at the end. Yeah, I'm not ready to give the Colts a chance to say that they are the best team in that division because it's still between them and Jacksonville. And Houston I thought was going to be in there again, but of course that didn't happen. But in terms of this game in particular, I am going to go with the Indianapolis Colts this weekend just because I think they can play very well against Tennessee. I think it's still going to be very tough for Tennessee to get anything going. But who knows? Maybe this could be the game. If you can go in there and beat a really good Indianapolis Colts team, maybe it can boost Cam Ward's potential overall in this first season. But other than that, though, I'm still going to give Indianapolis the win here. Indianapolis goes to 3-0, and Tennessee will drop to 0-3, joining the Miami Dolphins and the Cleveland Browns. And then we have probably the most intriguing matchup this weekend, especially considering the news that has broken within the last 24 to 48 hours. We've got the Cincinnati Bengals going out to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. The Vikings, well, it's like I told you before. I really did not think J.J. McCarthy was going to be the next big superstar after that one big game against the Chicago Bears in Week 1 because, man, he and the Vikings got destroyed by Atlanta's defense. I mean, that's the type of performance I was expecting from them in that Week 1 matchup. I mean, J.J. McCarthy, I think he's got a future overall in the NFL, but the fact that they were pushing this guy, they were already setting this guy up to be is a superstar in the making because of how well he did in that one fourth quarter matchup in the Bears game. Like, it was only that one quarter where he looked really good. Every other time looked terrible for him. And not only that, he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. He's got an ankle sprain. Aaron Jones, the running back, is out for a few weeks too, so that's not going to be good for Minnesota. But then again, maybe that's for the better because remember, J.J. McCarthy was out all of last season. Sam Darnold came in and put up a 14-win season for Minnesota, nearly beat Detroit to get the number 1 seed, and then eventually lost out to the Los Angeles Rams. So never say never with the Minnesota Vikings because we've seen this song and dance before. I mean, this was like this back in 2017. Sam Darnold comes in, he gets injured, and then Case Keenum takes over, and he gets them all the way to the NFC Championship game that year. So, Carson Wentz has been to a Super Bowl before, has been to a couple Super Bowls with Philadelphia and Kansas City as the backup. So you never know. You never know with them. And then you have the Bengals, who came back in a big way against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but they had to do it without Joe Burrow because he got injured in that game with a severe case of turf toe, which the sad news is that he is now out for a good majority of the season. I mean, he's basically out until December, and by that point, it may already be too late. But again, kind of like with Minnesota, Cincinnati has Jake Browning as the starter, and a couple years ago, Jake Browning was pretty good in the second half of the season. I mean, he won a lot of games for Cincinnati, and so that's why I'm not entirely counting out the Bengals at this point. But I will say that I think it will be a tougher stretch this time around compared to what it was in 2023, considering the dynamics. But the good news for him this time around is that the defense is getting better. The offense needs a lot of help, though. I mean, you got to be able to. The offense needs to work better to get this team going again. But in this matchup in particular, I am going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals. I am going to go ahead and say that Cincinnati has more than enough pieces there to beat the Minnesota Vikings in this injury bowl matchup. Pretty much. I mean, it's the first injury bowl of the year where both the starters for both teams are out for this in several games going forward. But I am going to go ahead and give the Cincinnati Bengals the win in this one. I'll say Cincinnati goes 3-0, and Minnesota will drop to 1-2. Next up, oh boy, this is going to be rough. We've got the New England Patriots hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. New England, finally got a win last week against Miami. Did it very convincingly in Miami, which is a hard place for them to go ahead and win. I mean, this is a tough place that they've always had trouble winning in, especially when Tom Brady and Bill Belichick were still there. I mean, this wasn't a new thing. So going in there and just coming out with that big win there, that's a big boost of confidence for them going forward. And maybe, just maybe, the hope is there that they'll be heading back on track in the future going forward. And then there's the Steelers, and oh boy. The Steelers. Yeah. We're about to go on a long rant here, people, so settle in. Because, Week 1, they looked pretty good against the Jets. Aaron Rodgers got his revenge. 4 touchdowns, a couple of big plays to Calvin Austin, and, Jonnu Smith with a big touchdown. Jalen Ramsey had a big game that game. Everybody thought that maybe this was going to work after all. Maybe the whole offseason kerfuffle about Aaron Rodgers coming here, especially after the disastrous job he had with the Jets, thought that was all going to dissipate away. And then Seattle came to town, and oh my God, was that rough. I've watched Steelers games for the past 20 years. I mean, I've been a Steelers fan longer than that, but I started regularly watching these games 20 years ago because this is the year when they won the Super Bowl. This was the 20th anniversary of when they won the Super Bowl. So yeah, I've been watching them for a long time, and I can tell you right now, that may have been one of the worst games I have ever watched with this team in the regular season. That game was unbelievably awful to watch. It was unbearable to watch. All that goodwill that the Steelers had against the Jets just completely went away. The second that Seattle drove it down the field and got a touchdown within the first drive of the game, I just knew this is going to be hard. This is going to be awful because they've done this all the time. The away team somehow gets an early score right away, and they just manage to find everybody so easily. It's been like this for years now, especially in the playoffs. And, and Sam Darnold, you lost to Sam Darnold. Sam freaking Darnold on a new team when he looked terrible the week before. And then of course, not making anything better, the defense. The defense got worse. Not only did it get worse on the field, but everybody kept getting injured. 6 starters got injured in this game. 6 starters. It's unbelievable how, the one thing that everyone thought, the offense might be terrible, but the defense will hold it together. And they've looked horrible. The only one who's looked really good is Jalen Ramsey. Him and Nick Herbig. I mean, Nick Herbig was basically the reason why the Steelers had that one touchdown drive, because he picked off Sam Darnold. They got him into Seattle territory that Aaron Rodgers threw to DK Metcalf, and everyone thought, okay, we got a shot here. I mean, we tied the game. It's 14-14. No worries whatsoever. And then 17-14 happens. He outkicks the field goal, and then Caleb freaking Johnson with that awful special teams play that gave Seattle the touchdown. At that point, the game was over. How do you not know the rules of that? When other teams are laughing at you, the Ravens long snapper literally said, "We practice this all the time. That's your mortal enemy making fun of you. You've become the laughingstock of this division." I know Cleveland sucks, but, we expect bad things from Cleveland, but not from Pittsburgh. It's bad when the moment I shut the game off was when they easily let Kenneth Walker run it in for a touchdown to make it 31-17. As soon as that happened, I just shut the TV off, stuck my head down, and just sat there for 20 minutes just waiting for that game to end, because I knew they weren't going to come back. I know everybody left at that point, and people were just like, well, what are you doing? I mean, did you see what happened with the Buffalo-Baltimore game? It could come back. Aaron Rodgers ain't no Josh Allen. This was the problem I had with them bringing in Aaron Rodgers and revamping this entire Steelers team. Because half of these players have not even played one game until we got to the regular season opener. No preseason snaps for most of these people. What did you think was going to happen with this? It's unbelievable how bad this team has been so dilapidated and so destroyed. They got rid of Najee Harris, who right now is on a 2-0 team. They got rid of George Pickens, who's on a team that won a thrilling game against the Giants. We'll get to them we'll get to both of those teams later on. You got rid of all those guys. Russell Wilson had himself a baller day. I mean, you could have had all this on this team this year. You could have evolved from what you did this past year. But no. You had to listen to the Pittsburgh sports media who told you to get rid of these people, and it's the Pittsburgh sports media around here are so delusional and so do not want to see this team win anything whatsoever, so they have stuff to talk about on their radio show. Because if they were winning, there'd be nothing to talk about. Everyone's sick and tired of talking about how the Pirates are bad, because they are bad. I finally figured it out today why this team looks so terrible. What the Steelers have done this year has basically been the equivalent of what Ron Hextall did to the Penguins when he came here. He made them old. He took the youngest team in hockey and turned them into one of the oldest teams ever that couldn't get anything going. And, it ruined those last few years that the Penguins have had. That's what they've done here to Pittsburgh. Nobody should be excited for this team whatsoever. Nobody. And I know I can go on and talk about how much I hate this team, which, screw it, I'm going to go ahead and do it. So let me continue on with my conversation.
8 hours later.
And that's why I hate this team so much, and they'll never win another Super Bowl again for the rest of my life. Okay, maybe I might have to trim that down. I mean, I went out for 8 hours there, but okay, obvious joke there. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because guess who they face this week? Their kryptonite, the New England Patriots. Now, I know what you're thinking out there, people. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about because, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick used to beat the crap out of them all the time, but they're gone now. It's a new generation. It's a new England Patriots generation. Things change. Yeah, and things don't. Because even though Tom Brady and Bill Belichick are not there, the Patriots have still had their way with the Steelers ever since 2022. This team lost to Mac Jones. This team lost to Bailey Zappi in 23. Bailey Zappi and Ezekiel Elliott mopped the floor with this team. What the hell makes you think it's going to be any different this time around? You know who's probably happy about this matchup? Ramondre Stevenson, Trevion Henderson. Hell, I think even Drake May could run over 100 yards with how badly this defense is. Because, the defense is fucking horrible this year. And I won't be shocked at all if Josh McDaniels pulls out that great fuck you drive, that fuck you play, the flea flicker, because every time the Patriots play the Steelers, they gotta throw that out there, and every time that happens, I want to rip my goddamn hair out because it works every single time. I can try to bring the table, okay, but I think you get the point here. I think you know who I'm going with this one here, because quite honestly, if I'm being 100% honest, I really don't think the Steelers could win another game until that Green Bay game. That's how bad this team looked on Sunday. And I don't think it's getting any better. Because think about it. You got to play New England, who you've always had trouble with playing. You've got to go to Ireland and play the Minnesota Vikings, which you could say all you want to. Oh, no J.J. McCarthy, no Aaron Jones. I mean, you're crazy to think that they could do... Jordan Mason's going to have a field day with this team. I mean... They beat the last time the Vikings played the Steelers overseas, it was a disaster for them 12 years ago. It made Ben Roethlisberger ask the Steelers to trade him. That was when they started 0-4. That's how bad that team was. And this team might be closing in on that. But then, after the bye week, you've got the Cleveland Browns, who are going to be desperate for a win. And they're going to be, and what better way to do it than doing it in the regular season where you have not won at home, is in Acrisure at Heinz Field, Acrisure Stadium, whatever the hell you want to call it. But they haven't won. The Cleveland Browns haven't won a regular season game in Pittsburgh since 2003. You don't think they're going to be so jizzed up to go up there and break that 22-year-old monkey off their back? And this is probably the best way to do it. And then you got the Cincinnati Bengals on a Thursday night, which means that Amazon's going to make it all about the Bengals and say fuck the Steelers, because what the hell did the Steelers have that the Bengals don't, except all the Super Bowls? But I don't think this team could win another game until maybe that Green Bay game, and I think they will. The only reason they're going to win that Green Bay game is because Aaron Rodgers wants revenge on them, and we know how good he'll be against what he was against the Jets. So why wouldn't he do the same thing with the Green Bay Packers? Just saying. So after that long rant, I think you get the idea of who I'm going with here. I'm going with the New England Patriots, home field advantage, and the fact that they're playing the Steelers, and they always, always, always find a way to embarrass this team in more ways than one. So I'm going to go ahead and take the New England Patriots to win this one over the Steelers. Patriots are 2-1. Pittsburgh is 1-2. Excuse me for a moment. Whoozah! Okay. After that rant, which I've been building that up ever since that game for this moment, and that's pent up frustration. I shouldn't be feeling this way until December, because that's when they usually start collapsing. Not this early in the season, So let's go ahead and just get away from this game and just move on to the next game we have here, which is a rematch of the NFC divisional round between the Los Angeles Rams and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles, like I said, went to Kansas City, defended the Super Bowl rematch, and won it in a big way. I mean, they dominated that game over Kansas City. Of all the things I could have predicted to happen, That game, I really thought Kansas City was going to get the upper hand in that one. But no, Philadelphia came in there. They did what they did best, and there's really no stopping them at this point. And they've got a matchup this week against the Los Angeles Rams, who legitimately put up a good fight against them in the NFC divisional round. Almost had a chance to beat them, but you really had to go in there and just go play lights out football, perfect football, no problems whatsoever. And that was just going to be tough to do. And then, especially with the snow falling on the ground there, at least now we're hoping that there's not going to be any snow this time around. But yeah, this one, not really much of a surprise here. I think Philadelphia is just too good of a football team right now. And yeah, they have everything going for them right now. I mean, the push is still there. So if they have to get in third and short yards, you know what's coming next. And yeah, as much as the Los Angeles Rams have been playing pretty good over the last couple of weeks, the Eagles have just been the better team. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if the Eagles come out of this 3-0 again. So give me the Philadelphia Eagles to go to 3-0 and the Rams to drop to 2-1. Following that, we've got a matchup in Tampa Bay as the Buccaneers take on the New York Jets. Tampa Bay with a thriller on Monday night against the Texans, pretty much doing the opposite of what the Texans did to them when they came back, when they were there playing that game 2 years ago. Of course, the Texans won on a last-second touchdown, so Tampa Bay returned the favor with Bucky Irving running it into the end zone for the touchdown. And Tampa Bay is now 2-0 for the 5th time in 5 seasons, man. I mean, Tampa Bay's a really good football team. They are just finding ways to win games. Baker Mayfield went down the field. I mean, he had that great fourth down run down the field. Like, Cleveland, you've got to be hating yourself now for putting all your chips on Deshaun Watson. Like, what the hell were you thinking, man? And then you got the New York Jets, which, yeah, they looked pretty good in that Week 1 loss to the Steelers, and then Buffalo came to town, and then got completely obliterated by them. And you lost Justin Fields to the concussion protocol, so quite frankly, we don't even know if he's going to be playing this week. And it could be Tyrod Taylor, but yeah, all signs are pointing to Tampa Bay getting to 3-0 easily in this one. So I'm going to go ahead and give Tampa Bay the win here. Tampa Bay will go to 3-0, Jets drop to 0-3. And then we've got another intriguing matchup here with yet another injured quarterback. We've got the Las Vegas Raiders traveling to the Washington Commanders. Washington, didn't put up the best effort in Green Bay on Thursday night and may have lost Jaden Daniels for this game too. I think they said he's dealing with an ankle. He was dealing with like an ankle injury, and they're still not sure if he's going to play this week. It's still to be determined. But if he isn't, Marcus Mariota is the one that's going to be taking over the reins for Washington, which I mean could work out, could probably not, but we'll see. They're going to be facing the Las Vegas Raiders, which oh boy. New England, how did you lose to this team? Seriously, tell me how you lost to this team. They looked terrible on Monday night. Like, I mean, the first throw of the play of the game, Geno Smith throws an interception to Davion Henley of the Chargers. They would immediately score a field goal after that. At that point, it's just like, okay, this night's gonna be like that. The Raiders had chances, though. I mean, they had that 10-minute drive at the start of the near the beginning of the third quarter that went into the fourth quarter, and you thought, ordinarily someone would tell you, oh, they're going to score a touchdown with that. They couldn't even get into the range for a touchdown. They had to settle for a field goal when you were down. It was 20-9. They had opportunities The Los Angeles Chargers gave them a gift of interception to get some points on the board, and they couldn't even do that. I mean, I'm sorry. This is what I thought the Raiders were going to be. Not a very good football team. I mean, yeah. You got Ashton Genty's looking pretty good, and Brock Bowers did pretty good too yesterday, despite his injuries. But at the same time, it's just like you can't trust Geno Smith to get you to the next level. You can't trust the oldest head coach in the NFL now, with Pete Carroll, 74 years old. Which, by the way, happy birthday! Hope you enjoyed that birthday present from Los Angeles, getting your asses handed to you like that. And then the final drop, the fourth down play was a throw to the sideline. Dude, go down the field. You're down by 2 touchdowns. Like, just try to do something. Like, good Lord. The Raiders look terrible. So that's why I think that even if Jaden Daniels can't play this week against them, I think Washington can find a way to just barely eke out a win here, even if their kicker has to do much of the work. Even though Matt Gay didn't have the best day in Green Bay last week, so take that for what you will. But I'm still going to say that the Washington Capitals, good lord, the Washington Commanders will win against the Las Vegas Raiders. I think they should win no matter who the quarterback is. Give me Washington to go to 2-1 and the Las Vegas Raiders to drop to 1-2. Following that, we've got a showdown in Carolina between the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. The Falcons had that big win on Sunday Night Football against the Vikings. They picked off J.J. McCarthy several times in that game. And, they finally look like they've got a pass rush. But the big question is going to be, can you sustain this? I mean, can you keep this going forward into the future? Because we see them have good, strong starts. I mean, last year they had a pretty good start overall. I mean, they swept Tampa Bay last year, but they have not. But they weren't able to finish the job and basically just kind of fell apart in the second half of the season. They're going to be taking on the Carolina Panthers, which, yeah, I still can't get a grasp on them. I mean, Bryce Young threw some really bad interceptions in that loss to Arizona, but they had a chance to come back and win that game in the fourth quarter. Now, if you could do that through the entire game, then maybe there'd be something to look forward to. But I'm really not sure how to feel about Carolina. I don't think they can keep sustaining this, and I keep thinking that they're just doing. They have those points. I mean, they need to have everything work in their favor to get that win against Arizona last week, and it just wasn't there. I mean, Arizona. I mean, Calais Campbell with the final nail in the coffin. The guy has been there since the Cardinals were in the Super Bowl last. That was 17 years ago, 18 years ago, because it was the 2008 season. I mean, this is a team this Carolina team is not looking like it's a team that could really be sustainable if they continue on with this trend here. I just don't see it happening with them. But hey, Atlanta has a chance to continue to push on a decent stretch run here. But I'm going to go ahead and give them the win in this one. I think Atlanta will win this one, no question about it, at 2-1. Carolina, I think, will drop to 0-3. So, yeah, we've already got 5 0-3 teams already on this list here. And probably more to come here as we move on to the next set of games I have. So next up, we've got a matchup between the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville had a chance, is pretty good against Cincinnati, just except in the fourth quarter. I mean, they were looking pretty good for 3 quarters, and then that fourth quarter, just Cincinnati coming all the way back, and Jacksonville just had no answers to stopping them, even without Joe Burrow in the game, and they lost that game. A game they probably should have won easily. But hey, the good news is that Liam Cohen didn't go to one of his bars and hook up with a young teenager grinding on her like the last Jacksonville head coach who went to Cincinnati and lost. But that's a whole thing on Urban Meyer for you kids out there who don't remember that. Yeah, hard to believe that Urban Meyer was the head coach for nearly 4 years ago, like 5 years ago now, like 5 years already. Good Lord. But they're going to be taking on the Texans, which, yeah, the Texans, this team is hot garbage. I mean, yeah, they had opportunities on last week against Tampa, is on Monday night against Tampa Bay, and then it looked like it was going to be an offensive shootout early on, and then just in the third quarter, both teams were just kind of flat for the most part. It didn't get good until the fourth quarter when Nick Chubb ran that in ran the touchdown in, and you thought, okay, the Texans are going to find a way to win this one. Nobody's really expecting Tampa Bay to go down the field and do what they did to them, do what Houston did to them 2 years ago. But like I said, that's what happened. But yeah, I don't think Houston's that great of a football team this year. I think they're really struggling right now. And I think there's just better competition out there, specifically with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Colts right now. Again, that could change as time goes on, but I'm going to go ahead and go with the home team on this one. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars host the Texans, and they beat them. Jacksonville, I have them going at 2-1. Houston drops to 0-3. And then we've got another AFC West showdown with the Los Angeles Chargers. They have faced all 3 of their divisional opponents in the first 3 weeks of the season, and they beat the first 2 already. They already beat the Chiefs, and they beat the Raiders last night. So now we have the Los Angeles Chargers hosting the Denver Broncos. Broncos missed opportunities to take down Indianapolis. They had a chance to win the game. I mean, and they could have won it if they had not done the leverage penalty. The leverage penalty obviously killed them because Indianapolis misses the field goal. Denver's walking out of there with a win without that penalty. But nope. Leverage penalty, Indianapolis gets another shot at the field goal, game's over. That's a tough one for the Broncos to take. I mean, they'll find a way to get back to it, but they really are going to go into some tough territory because, Justin Herbert and the Chargers are playing so well right now. I mean, they're not putting up many points overall, but they're relying heavily on the ground game. I mean, Amari Hampton's slowly but surely coming on, but Najee Harris had a nice game yesterday, and they're doing it also pretty well also with the passing game, too. Justin Herbert threw some nice balls down the field to Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnson for touchdowns. And the defense, like I said before, came up big in that matchup yesterday. They picked off Geno Smith, I think, like 3 times in that game in particular. So this Chargers team is looking pretty good. But the big question is, can this be sustained? Is this going to be one of those things where the Chargers start off strong and then just kind of fade apart, but then slowly but surely come back in the last month of the season, only to get bounced out of the wild card game and have another collapse? Because that's happened twice now with them in the last couple of years when the Chargers have made the playoffs. So until we get to that point, I am still going to go with the Chargers to win this one. I think they will go to 3-0. I think the Broncos drop to 1-2. It's just going to be a very tough game for the Broncos to try to beat right now. I mean, I think Bo Nix and them have to really score a ton of points to really go ahead and try to find a way to beat Los Angeles. I think Los Angeles is just too good right now. Will that stick? Well, only time will tell. Following that, you've got a showdown between the New Orleans Saints and the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks went to Pittsburgh and just completely blew the air out of the home opener for the Steelers. And, hey, give credit where credit is due. Seattle basically said, yeah, go ahead to Pittsburgh, DK. We don't need you anymore. We got this guy, Jackson Smith-Njigba. And I'll admit, the Seahawks did look like a really good team. But again, they looked like this last year. The question is, can you sustain that going into, kind of with the Chargers, can you sustain that going into the rest of the season? Or will you falter off when you have to face the stiffer competition? There should be no problems this week because they're going up against the New Orleans Saints, which is currently on track right now to possibly be one of those teams high up there, if not at the top of the number 1 pick for the 2026 NFL Draft, because, this team looks terrible. I mean, I know they barely got by San Francisco, but San Francisco was mopping the floor with them for the most part in that game. I mean, it was like the Arizona game the week before. Arizona was in control for much of that game, and then New Orleans tried to get back into it, but it was just too little too late. I just don't think Spencer Rattler's that good of a quarterback to start this team up. I think there's just too many problems with the quarterback situation right now, and Spencer Rattler's not the answer. I don't know if Tyler Shook is going to be the answer too, but is down the road. But I don't think this team's good enough to win any games going forward. And this one's going to be tough to play in Seattle. Seattle's always a tough place to play in. I got to go with the Seahawks in this one. Seahawks going to 2-1, and New Orleans dropping to 0-3. And then we got this matchup right here, this lovely little beauty here, because it's bad enough to lose to to a rookie quarterback who hasn't played, a second-year quarterback who didn't play all of last season. It's bad enough to get 52 points put on your ass against your coach's former team in the Lions. The Chicago Bears now face their next tough task, the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas, a thrilling matchup between the New York Giants. I mean, and let's be honest, the Giants are winning that game if Russell Wilson doesn't throw that interception in overtime. I mean, once that happened, it's just kind of like, turn out the lights, the party's over, to quote Don Meredith. But, Cowboys offensively did look pretty good. George Pickens has actually done very well for the Cowboys overall. And that's not really getting talked about that much here, especially here in Western Pennsylvania with the sports media. Everyone looks at, George Pickens, screw that bum. It's just like, that bum actually is contributing more than you think, guys. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news on that, but the defense overall for the Cowboys obviously is not that great, and I don't know why, because, there was a guy there that they had, and I just don't know what happened to him all of a sudden. Gee, Jerry, would you like to explain that to people? Yeah, that's what I thought. But despite the defense kind of being terrible, they really should have no trouble going into Chicago and just mopping the floor with the Chicago Bears. I just saw the Week 3 feed for all the games that are going to be played on televisions all over the country, and Fox's late schedule has 2 games. This one and the other game we're going to get to, everybody's getting the Dallas and Chicago game. Like, for some reason, that's the big matchup that everybody's going to get. And I really do feel like people are going to be very pissed off about that, because just like, Dallas is going to mop the floor with the Chicago Bears. There is nothing that I've seen with this Bears team that makes me believe that they can stand up to what Dallas will do offensively. I think Dallas is easily going to mop the floor with them, no question about it. So I'm going to have the Cowboys win this one, go to 2-1, and the Chicago Bears drop to 0-3. And speaking of that other game in the Fox late window, we have the San Francisco 49ers hosting the Arizona Cardinals, which last year, when the Cardinals came to San Francisco, they pulled off a big upset, beating them at home, which was a pretty big deal. And Arizona has been playing pretty good the last couple of weeks. Granted, it was against teams like the New Orleans Saints and the Carolina Panthers, which probably means not a whole lot of things. That basically means that they outplayed a very terrible team. They're going up against the San Francisco team that's also 2-0 as well, but they don't have their starting quarterback. Brock Purdy, of course, has been out for a couple weeks, and Mac Jones is going to be starting. They have a lot of other key injuries that of noteworthiness, but the San Francisco 49ers got through to New Orleans. I mean, they're 2-0, so that makes for a very intriguing matchup here. And Kyler Murray's been playing very well. The Cardinals' defense has been looking pretty good. I think this is definitely going to be a true test on whether or not this team's actually going to be really good or not, but I'm going to go ahead and give Arizona the win in this one. I think they can pull out the same upset that they had the year before against San Francisco. I still think San Francisco doesn't have enough there to really make them a playoff contender once again. So I'm going to go ahead and give the Cardinals the win in this one. Cardinals go to 3-0, and the San Francisco Giants. I'm reading off the script I have here, and I have San Francisco and then the Giants underneath it. So I'm thinking San Francisco Giants, the baseball team. No, San Francisco 49ers go to 2-1. And then you've got the Sunday Night Football matchup, which, why the hell did you do this, NBC? We've got the New York Football Giants hosting the Kansas City Chiefs, two 0-2 teams, which nobody would have expected at the start of the season, but it is what it is. Kansas City has just looked abysmal the last 2 weeks. It's like they've been playing scared. And for a team that has dominated the AFC the last couple of years, I get it. You don't have Xavier Worthy. You don't have Rashee Rice. By the way, you want to talk about one of the stupidest controversies I've ever seen? On the game on Sunday, they had everybody on the Chiefs wearing these Free 4 T-shirts. And you look at this, and because he's been suspended for 6 games for the thing that he did. If you don't remember what he did, by the way, Rashee Rice did 120 miles an hour, causing a 6-car accident, severely injured tons of people, and he fled the scene. He got the 6-game punishment, man, and yet everybody on the Chiefs is wearing this T-shirt like he did something horrible. He didn't do anything wrong. It's just like, what the hell is wrong with you? The guy caused a multi-car crash and was lucky that he didn't kill anybody, and you're sitting there being like, we're gonna wear this, show commitment to our brother. You guys sent the wrong fucking message out there, Betty. It's just like, but then again, it makes sense for somebody like Travis Kelce to wear this because Travis Kelce's not been very good either. It's like he has some kind of engagement going on with an overrated pop star that's in front of the headlines overall, and maybe and I don't know, I'm sorry, nothing about everything that is the Chiefs have no excuse for this. I mean, they're playing scared right now. They're playing scared because, you don't have Xavier Worthy, you don't have Rashee Rice, you have all these other players on your team. You have Juju Smith-Schuster. You're scared to get the ball to him. You're scared to get the ball to Tyquan Thornton. Patrick Mahomes is their leading rusher right now. He's been doing most of the running in this game. That's unheard of. That's not something you expect from a guy like him. And everybody, I think teams are finally starting to figure out ways to beat them now. I mean, the Chargers and Eagles did the thing that you're supposed to do. Make sure Patrick Mahomes does not get the football at the end of the game. And they've been able to stop him. They've been able to use all their timeouts. Yeah, Kansas City's not looking very good right now. I don't think anybody predicted that they would be the only team in the AFC West without a win after 2 weeks. Now, of course, I'm not going to admit that this is a sign of the future overall. They will get back to form in no time. And this week in particular is probably a good week to do it. Even though the New York Giants did put up a fight against the Cowboys, Russell Wilson had his best career day ever, soaring over 450 yards. I think it was his best career day. I think it was a career high. I mean, that pass to Malik Neighbors in the final minutes of the fourth quarter. The minute I saw that, I thought, oh, they're going to win this game. They're going to embarrass Dallas. And then, sure enough, saw the clock there. Apparently, Dallas has the new Justin Tucker and Brandon Aubrey. And sure enough, he kicks the game-tying field goal to extend into overtime. And then after that interception, he kicks the game-winning field goal. It's just kind of like, what do you think was going to happen? So yeah, everyone's excited now because, oh, Russell Wilson, he could do that again against Kansas City. No. Yeah, sorry to tell you this, but if Kansas City loses this game and goes 0-3, there's going to be the flood. Hell is literally going to come up from earth, because there is no way that this team should be 0-3 right now. And that's a possibility that could happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Kansas City is smart enough to not go into this game and let Russell Wilson and the New York Giants beat them. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be the one that says, oh, it's going to happen. No. Kansas City should win this game. If Kansas City doesn't win this game, somebody has to get axed from the Chiefs, or something has to happen. Somebody's got to light a fire in somebody's ass in that locker room in Kansas City. I am saying the Kansas City Chiefs will win this game. Kansas City will win it. They'll go to 1-2. They'll stop the bleeding a little bit here, and for the Giants, drop to 0-3, which their schedule overall looks rough to start it off with, because then after this, you got to play the Los Angeles Chargers. So yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that, New York. And then finally, we have the Monday Night Football matchup, which, why the fuck would you guys do this? Especially with who the home team quarterback is. You've got the Baltimore Ravens hosting the Detroit Lions. The Baltimore Ravens, as I said before, found a way to beat the Cleveland Browns pretty convincingly. Lamar Jackson had himself a day. Derrick Henry didn't really do a whole lot compared to the week before. I mean, he only had 23 yards. The Cleveland Browns defense stopped him getting only 23 yards on the ground, and yet they pretty much blew the floor against Cleveland in that game. I mean, the Ravens are really good right now, but then again, that's what we expect from the Ravens at this point in the year. Yeah, there's going to be those games like the Buffalo game where they're going to be like, how the hell did you lose that game? But early on, they're going to be pretty good. The question is, how are you going to do when you get to the second half of the season? Because that's where the collapse usually begins for this football team. They're going to be taking on the Detroit Lions, who put up a 50-burger, of course, against the Bears. And the reason why I ask, why is this even a Monday Night Football game? Because let's talk about Lamar Jackson's record against the NFC. You know what his record is for the NFC ever since he came into the league? 24-2. 24-2. Again, 24 wins, 2 losses. And those 2 losses were against, if I'm not mistaken, and we're not including games where Joe Flacco was still there and he would show up and play a little bit, some time in the game, like the New Orleans game in 2018 or the Carolina game. No, we're talking about him as a starter. There have only been 2 times in his career where he's played an NFC team and lost. One was against the New York Giants. That was in 2022, when the Giants actually was a playoff contending team. And then last year with the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles came in and just mopped the floor with him. He's lost twice. He's beaten the Lions pretty good the last couple of times he's played them. Why would you even bother putting this as a Monday Night Football game? Why are you going to waste Joe Buck and Troy Aikman's time with this, when we could have had a much more engaging matchup? Hell, the New England-Pittsburgh game probably would have been a much more interesting matchup than this. But no, we got to have it be Baltimore and Detroit because, times have changed, and maybe this is the opportunity for the Lions to go ahead and break that record. And just that's not going to happen. It's going to take a collapse like against Buffalo to beat the Baltimore Ravens at this point, if you're an NFC team. So I do not see the Detroit Lions going in there and beating them in this game. I just don't see it happening. So, not a shocker in this one. This is probably my lock of the week overall in terms of teams that will win this game. I take that back though. Kansas City should not lose to New York. If they do, then there's major problems there. So Kansas City and New York probably be my lock of the week. But Baltimore would be my second lock of the week. Baltimore will win against the Detroit Lions. I have no doubt about that. I have no reason to believe that the Ravens are going to let the Lions completely mop the floor with them. But then again, maybe they will. Who knows? I'm picking the Ravens to win this one, to go to 2-1, and the Lions to drop to 1-2. So there you go. Just to recap my winner predictions, I have Buffalo over Miami, Green Bay over Cleveland, Indianapolis over Tennessee, Cincinnati over Minnesota, New England over Pittsburgh, Philadelphia over the Los Angeles Rams, Tampa Bay over the New York Jets, Washington over the Raiders, Atlanta Falcons over the Carolina Panthers, the Jaguars over the Texans, the Chargers over the Broncos, the Seahawks over the Saints, the Cowboys over the Bears, the Cardinals over the 49ers, the Chiefs over the Giants, and the Ravens over the Lions. So there you go. That's my Week 3 NFL predictions. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think of my list? And what do you think of my power rankings too? And with all that said, I will see you guys next week. And let's see how many I get wrong this time around. Because I just have this feeling that I got one right more than I did the week before right. So that means I'm probably due for a downward week. But we'll see. I really don't think a lot of these games should be wrong here. But I've been wrong before, so we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification button. Check out the last episode we did, and check out the playlist below to see some other episodes I did. So, with that said, I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
The following has been a presentation of the Reviewing Network Sports.